Title: The Macedonian Army, Alexander's Path to Glory. The Macedonian army was the backbone of Alexander the Great's empire-building campaigns, a force renowned for its discipline, versatility, and formidable tactics. Under the reforms of Alexander's father, King Philip II, and the brilliant leadership of Alexander himself, the Macedonian army evolved into one of the most advanced and effective fighting forces of the ancient world. From the iconic Macedonian phalanx to the elite companion cavalry, Alexander's army was a model of cohesion and adaptability that allowed him to conquer a vast empire stretching from Greece to India. Here's a closer look at the structure, training, and tactics that made the Macedonian army an unstoppable force in Alexander's hands. 1. The reforms of King Philip II, foundation of a new army. Before Alexander came to power, his father, King Philip II, laid the groundwork for the Macedonian army's success. Upon becoming king, Philip faced a fractured kingdom and weak military, but he transformed Macedonia's forces through key reforms that would empower Alexander's later conquests. Key reforms: introduction of the sarissa. Philip rearmed the infantry with the sarissa, a long spear about 18 to 20 feet in length, which gave the Macedonian phalanx a significant reach advantage over traditional hoplite formations. This weapon allowed soldiers to strike from a distance, creating an impenetrable wall of spears. Reorganized phalanx formation. Philip restructured the phalanx into a tightly packed, deep formation with soldiers arranged in rows up to 16 deep. Each soldier's role within the phalanx was essential to maintain cohesion, and rigorous training ensured that the phalanx could move as a single, disciplined unit. Professionalization and training. Unlike other Greek city-states, which relied heavily on citizen soldiers, Philip developed a professional standing army. Soldiers were trained year-round in disciplined drills, developing cohesion, endurance, and flexibility that made them effective on any battlefield. With these reforms, Philip turned Macedonia into a military powerhouse, ready to unite the Greek city-states and challenge the Persian Empire. Upon Philip's assassination, Alexander inherited an army finely tuned for conquest. 2. The structure of the Macedonian army. The Macedonian army was divided into specialized units, each with a specific role on the battlefield. This structure allowed Alexander to employ complex tactics that utilized each unit's unique strengths, enabling him to adapt to diverse combat situations and overcome numerically superior forces. Core units. The Macedonian phalanx. The phalanx was the core of Alexander's infantry, armed with sarissas and organized into deep ranks. The phalanx's primary role was to engage and pin the enemy, creating a strong defensive line that allowed Alexander to execute flanking maneuvers. Soldiers within the phalanx were called pesateroi, or foot companions, emphasizing their elite status and loyalty to the king. Companion cavalry, hetair, the companion cavalry, or hetairoi, were Alexander's elite heavy cavalry and his personal guard. They were armed with shorter spears and swords, allowing them to deliver powerful charges. Led directly by Alexander, the companion cavalry was often positioned on the right flank and played a critical role in Alexander's signature hammer and anvil tactic. Hypaspists. The hypaspists, or shield-bearers, were elite light infantry who served as a bridge between the heavy phalanx and the more mobile cavalry. They were tasked with guarding the vulnerable flanks of the phalanx and often acted as shock troops during critical moments of battle. Light infantry and archers. Alexander's light infantry, including javelin throwers, slingers, and archers, provided crucial support by softening enemy lines and targeting vulnerable points in the enemy formation. The archers, often positioned on high ground, helped to disrupt enemy ranks before the main engagement began. Engineers and siege corps. The Macedonian army included a dedicated corps of engineers who played a key role in siege warfare. They constructed siege towers, battering rams, and other devices, allowing Alexander to conquer heavily fortified cities, as seen in his famous sieges of Tyre and Gaza. The versatility of the Macedonian army allowed Alexander to adapt to any battlefield, from open plains to mountainous terrain, and made his forces a cohesive and well-rounded military machine. 3. Training and discipline. The Macedonian army's success rested on its rigorous training and discipline. Philip II's reforms instilled a culture of constant readiness, and Alexander maintained this tradition, ensuring that his troops were not only skilled fighters, but also capable of executing complex maneuvers in the heat of battle. Drills and conditioning. Soldiers practiced with their weapons daily, learning to wield the sarissa in close formation and maintain their positions under pressure. Phalanx training was intense, requiring soldiers to march, turn, and maintain their lines even in chaotic situations. Physical conditioning was also emphasized, as Alexander's campaigns often required long marches across difficult terrain. This conditioning allowed the Macedonian army to move rapidly and launch surprise attacks, catching enemies off guard. Morale and loyalty. Alexander's presence on the battlefield played a crucial role in maintaining morale. He led from the front, sharing in the risks and hardships of his men, which inspired intense loyalty among his troops. Alexander's treatment of his soldiers was marked by respect and camaraderie, and he rewarded their loyalty with spoils of war, titles, and recognition. His soldiers felt they were part of a great mission, which fueled their willingness to march into unknown lands. 4. Alexander's tactics and battle strategies. Alexander's tactical brilliance was evident in his ability to read the battlefield, exploit enemy weaknesses, and adapt his strategies to different foes and terrains. His success was not solely due to the power of the Macedonian army, but to his innovative use of these units. Hammer and anvil. The hammer and anvil tactic became one of Alexander's signature strategies. He used the phalanx, anvil, to engage and pin the enemy while his companion cavalry, hammer, struck from the flanks or rear. This tactic was instrumental in major battles, such as Issus and Gaugamela, where Alexander's cavalry broke through enemy lines to target leaders, often leading to quick collapses in enemy morale. Psychological warfare and feints. Alexander often used feints, surprise maneuvers, and psychological tactics to unnerve his enemies. In the Battle of Gaugamela, for example, Alexander used a feigned retreat to draw Persian forces out of position, creating gaps in their line that his forces quickly exploited. His reputation for invincibility also served as a psychological weapon. Knowing of his undefeated record, many foes were intimidated even before battle, sometimes choosing surrender over confrontation. Adaptation to terrain. Adaptation to terrain. Alexander's ability to adapt to different types of terrain was crucial, particularly during campaigns in mountainous and arid regions like Bactria and Sogdia. In the Battle of the Hydaspes against King Porus, Alexander used the cover of night and river crossings to surprise his opponent, who relied on war elephants to intimidate Alexander's forces. Innovative siege tactics. The Macedonian engineers played a vital role in Alexander's campaigns, especially during sieges. At Tyre, Alexander built a causeway across the sea to reach the island city, using siege towers and catapults to breach its walls. His use of heavy siege equipment enabled him to overcome even the most fortified cities, which had previously been impervious to assault. 5. The role of leadership and loyalty. Alexander's leadership was not only tactical but deeply personal, a major factor in maintaining cohesion and morale throughout his grueling campaigns. His relationship with his men was unlike that of many commanders of his time. He fostered a sense of unity, making his soldiers feel as though they were part of a historic mission. Leading from the front. Alexander consistently led his troops from the front lines, sharing in their risks and hardships. This not only boosted morale but also solidified his status as a warrior king. Soldiers respected him not just as a commander but as one of their own. Incentives and recognition. Alexander rewarded loyalty and bravery with spoils, titles, and public recognition. He made a point to remember soldiers' deeds, further instilling a sense of honor and belonging within the ranks. Integration of conquered peoples. After major victories, Alexander often recruited skilled local troops, integrating them into his army. This practice, seen especially in Persia and India, diversified his forces and demonstrated his vision of a unified, multicultural empire. 6. Legacy of the Macedonian army. The Macedonian army that Alexander forged went on to influence military strategy for centuries. His tactics and army structure inspired future commanders and were studied by generals like Hannibal, Julius Caesar, and even Napoleon. The Macedonian phalanx remained a central feature of Hellenistic armies after Alexander's death, and his combined arms approach became foundational to modern military doctrine. Cultural and military influence. Alexander's conquest spread Greek military techniques across Asia, leading to the development of Hellenistic kingdoms that continued using Macedonian-style tactics and formations. His approach to multicultural armies and integration also influenced how future empires managed and leveraged diverse populations, as seen later in the Roman Empire's practices. Conclusion. Alexander's path to glory. The Macedonian army, with its innovative phalanx, elite cavalry, and disciplined ranks, was Alexander's instrument of conquest and the key to his path to glory. His leadership and tactical genius,